Please note, this video may contain narratives not suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet neighborhood, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. It was a typical Friday night, and I was eager to make my deliveries and earn some extra cash. An order for a large pepperoni pizza had come in from a house on the outskirts of town, and I could already picture the satisfied smile of the customer when I handed over the steaming box. But as I approached the address, unease began to creep in. The house loomed ahead, dimly lit, with an eerie stillness that enveloped the area. I shook off the feeling, reminding myself I'd delivered to all sorts of places before. This was just another job. When I arrived, a woman named Karen greeted me at the door. She was strikingly beautiful and exuded confidence, her playful smile instantly putting me at ease. I felt a flutter of excitement as she flirted with me, complimenting my uniform and the speed of my delivery. The atmosphere shifted slightly as another woman joined us, adding to the playful banter. We exchanged jokes and laughter, and for a moment, I felt like I was part of something fun and spontaneous. Their warmth made me forget the unsettling vibe of the house, and I found myself enjoying the attention. The laughter echoed in the dimly lit entryway, creating an almost surreal ambiance. But just as the mood peaked, the door swung wider and a man stepped into view. His presence was jarring, and the jovial atmosphere shifted instantly. He was tall and imposing, a scowl on his face that sent a chill down my spine. He seemed to emerge from the shadows, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. The playful banter came to a halt, replaced by a tense silence that hung heavily in the air. My heart raced. What had been a light-hearted encounter now felt fraught with danger. Karen's demeanor changed, her flirtatious smile fading into apprehension. The man's presence was suffocating, and I felt the tension building. I instinctively took a step back, clutching the pizza box tightly, unsure of what to do next. His gaze locked onto me, and time felt like it froze. My mind raced with thoughts of escape, but I was rooted to the spot, caught in an unexpected confrontation. "Who's this?" the man growled, his voice low and threatening. The playful atmosphere had vanished, replaced by an undercurrent of menace that sent shivers down my spine. Karen tried to defuse the situation, but her words fell flat against his intimidating presence. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me, and I knew I had to act quickly. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I managed to stammer out a quick, "Your pizza!" before turning on my heel and making a hasty retreat. As I dashed back to my car, the laughter and flirtation faded into a haunting memory, leaving me shaken by the realization that even the most ordinary jobs can lead to extraordinary and frightening encounters. Later that night, as I pulled up to another address, I felt a chill run down my spine. The house before me appeared abandoned, its paint peeling, and the yard overgrown with weeds that seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers. An unsettling silence enveloped the area, broken only by the faint sound of piano music drifting through the air, an eerie, melancholic melody that seemed to seep from the very walls of the house. I hesitated, my heart pounding as I glanced around, half expecting someone to jump out from the shadows. But the street was empty, the only movement coming from the rustling leaves in the gentle breeze. Taking a deep breath, I steeled myself and approached the front door. The creaking of the old wooden steps echoed in the stillness. The door was slightly ajar, and as I pushed it open, a musty odor hit me like a wall. The interior was dimly lit, with dust motes dancing in the air, illuminated by the faint glow of a single flickering light bulb. The piano music grew louder, its notes echoing through the darkened hallways, creating an unsettling atmosphere that made my skin crawl. I called out, "Pizza delivery!" but my voice felt swallowed by the oppressive silence. As I stepped inside, the floorboards creaked beneath my feet, amplifying my growing sense of unease. The walls were adorned with faded photographs, their subjects long forgotten, and cobwebs hung in the corners like ghostly veils. I felt as if I had stepped into a time capsule, a place frozen in despair. The music continued to play, its source elusive, adding to the surreal quality of the experience. I navigated through the musty rooms, each one darker and more foreboding than the last, my instincts screaming at me to turn back. With every step, the feeling of being watched intensified, and I couldn't shake the sensation that something was lurking just out of sight. I called out again, my voice trembling slightly. "Is anyone here?" The silence that followed was deafening, with only the haunting piano melody that seemed to mock my presence. My heart raced as I ventured deeper into the house, the shadows growing thicker around me. Glancing at my watch, I realized I had already spent too much time in this unsettling place. As I reached what appeared to be the living room, I paused, scanning the area for any sign of life. The furniture was draped in white sheets, as if the house had been abandoned for years. The music continued to play, but there was no one in sight. A wave of dread washed over me as I realized that I was completely alone in this eerie environment. Panic began to set in, and I felt an overwhelming urge to escape. The atmosphere pressed down on me, and I could almost hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Without a second thought, I turned on my heel and hurried back toward the front door, my pulse racing. The music seemed to swell, echoing in my mind as I dashed through the darkened rooms, desperate to escape the oppressive silence. I burst through the door and into the cool night air, gasping for breath as I made my way back to my car. The relief of being outside was palpable, but the haunting melody lingered in my mind, a chilling reminder of the unsettling experience I had just endured. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something sinister lurking within those walls, leaving me shaken and wary of the next delivery. That night had started like any other, filled with the familiar routine of loading up my car with hot pizzas and setting out to satisfy hungry customers. But as I pulled up to the address for a late-night delivery, an unsettling feeling washed over me. The street was dimly lit, and the house appeared isolated, shrouded in shadows. I shook off the feeling, reminding myself it was just another job. Approaching the front door, I noticed a group of men loitering nearby, their laughter echoing in the stillness. I felt a twinge of unease, but dismissed it, focusing on the task at hand. As I knocked on the door, my heart raced with anticipation. But before I could register a response, the door swung open violently, revealing two armed men. Time froze as shock coursed through me. The glint of the gun in the dim light sent a wave of fear crashing over me, paralyzing me in place. "Give us the money and the pizza!" one of the men shouted, his voice laced with aggression. My mind raced, adrenaline surging as I instinctively raised my hands, the pizza box slipping from my grip and crashing to the ground. In that moment, fear gripped me like a vice. The world around me faded, and all I could focus on was the gun pointed directly at me. My heart pounded in my chest, blood rushing in my ears. The men were shouting, their demands echoing in my mind, but I struggled to process their words. Fumbling for my wallet, hands trembling uncontrollably, I pulled out cash and handed it over, my voice barely a whisper as I stammered, "Please, just take it." They snatched the money and the pizza, laughter ringing in my ears as they turned to flee into the night. Once they were gone, I stood frozen on the porch, the weight of the experience crashing down on me. The adrenaline that had surged through me moments before was replaced by a profound sense of vulnerability and fear. I felt as if the ground had shifted beneath me, leaving me unsteady and disoriented. Panic set in as I realized the gravity of what had just happened. I stumbled back to my car, heart racing, and dialed 911, hands shaking as I reported the robbery. The operator's calm voice felt distant as I struggled to articulate the events that had just unfolded. When the police arrived, they took my statement, their expressions serious as they gathered details about the incident. I felt a mix of relief and dread. I was grateful for their presence, but overwhelmed by the reality of the situation. The officers assured me they would do everything they could to catch the perpetrators, but their words offered little comfort. Watching them leave, I couldn't shake the feeling of being exposed and vulnerable. What used to be a mundane task of delivering pizzas now felt like a dangerous gamble. In the days that followed, the emotional impact of the robbery lingered over me like a dark cloud. I found myself jumping at the slightest noise, my heart racing at the thought of encountering another armed person. The fear seeped into every aspect of my life, making me question my choices and the safety of my job. Each delivery became a source of anxiety, and I often hesitated before approaching unfamiliar houses. What used to be a simple act of delivering pizza had transformed into a constant reminder of how fragile safety really is, leaving me grappling with the long-lasting effects of that harrowing night. The experience changed me, and I knew it would take time to reclaim the sense of security I once took for granted. If you enjoyed hearing my stories, please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay updated on other haunting experiences and storytelling.